you want to sit down over there? Then we're just waiting for the internet to come back because we are streaming this event as well. So just another minute and we will begin the third module. Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome to the second day of the Affordable Housing Initiative Bootcamp. This morning it will be entirely dedicated to technical issues related to renovation at the neighborhood level. Yesterday we had the more social oriented approaches. This time we have the more hard interventions. So we have a panel to bring you both some good practices in this area and also some discussions the same way we had yesterday. So I would call to the stage the speakers. First of all, Nerea Gomez of CCP, Sébastien Delpont of Energy Strong, Christoph Kukulci in the city of Włocławek, and Felix Heisman from Project Start Nassauische Heimstadt. So difficult names to start with. As well as our moderator, Gerlinde Gutteil from the Austrian Federation of Limited Profit Housing Association, which will take proceedings from now on. So welcome, and the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you had a good rest last night, and I had a small glimpse also of the city of Vienna yesterday. We are now looking into the depth of affordable technical innovations for sustainability. But don't be afraid. I don't think that it will be purely technical, because as you see already in the title, the notion of affordability is part of it. As we heard yesterday, we don't want just a green transition. We want a just green transition, and I'm quite sure that our presenters today will take up this idea. And also in the point of sustainability, as you all know, we have those three dimensions. It's about technical and ecological, it's about social dimension, and also about the economic dimension. And so I think we will have quite a broad picture on renovation, but also on new construction, on the big transformation that we are undertaking. And I'm very happy that we're also addressing different levels. And the first speaker is Nerea Gomez. I will just give you a very short look out on the whole program. We will have the point of let's say the strategical point of the blueprints. Then we will have Sébastien Delpont with the second presentation. It is also a strategical approach, more technical approach about industrial renovation and an industrial approach to renovation. Then we will look at the municipal level with Christoph Kukulci, look on a precise project or approach in Poland, but also that it's not for Poland alone, but we will learn a lot of this example. And finally, we will have Felix Heisman. He will present as a technological tool that helps to bring in participation in renovation process. So it's the link between the social and the technological aspect. Yeah. At the beginning, first, Nerea, your presentation on blueprints for the replication of lighthouse districts. Very briefly on Nerea, she works at the ECTP, European Construction Technology Platform in Brussels. She has a background as a chemical engineer, and she's in charge of the technical module of the blueprints that you have heard already yesterday. And yeah, we are eager to hear your presentation on the technical aspects. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and well, very good morning to all of you. So yeah, today my presentation will be complementary to those that happened yesterday from my colleagues from TU Delft and GNE Finance. But today we will focus on the technical blueprint. So I won't go again into detail about what has been done or which are the main objectives of the blueprints because they were already presented yesterday. But just to mention that there are three modules, and today we will focus specifically on the technical module, where we try to propose and analyze different technical and technological solutions to ensure circularity and energy efficiency in renovation. So the technical blueprints provides methods, guidance of social and affordable housing at district level on tackling technical and technological issues. So we propose different solutions in order to ensure that the renovation process is carried out aligned with the renovation wave. Therefore, we propose different solutions that I will explain you later that contribute in an affordable, sustainable and efficient way, both energy and resources wise, to achieve the transition to clean energy. So in this module we have 8 chapters. Those highlighted in purple, regulatory framework and financial model, are common for the 3 modules of the blueprint, and we try to address them from different perspectives. And then we have 6, I want to say, pure technical chapters, which are modular building systems, industrialized packages, circularity, energy efficiency, digitalization, and then design and architectural approaches. So today we don't have time to deep dive into each of the chapters, but I just want to briefly present you some of them. So we can start, for example, with modular building systems and industrialized packages, since these 2 chapters go hand in hand. So what we do in the blueprint is try to think which will be the questions, the doubts that the stakeholders could have, and we try to give them an answer. For example, regarding industrialized packages, what actions can the contracted entity put in place to encourage the industrialization of renovation? So here we propose 3 different actions: working on a common set of specifications to adapt contract volumes to industrial standards, also offering multi-year visibility to companies on housing stock retrofit demand, and last but not least, we propose to take into account industrialization in the scoring criteria for awarding energy renovation contracts. All of these 3 actions, they aim to encourage the emergence of industrialized solutions. Then, after trying to give an answer to all of the questions, we take as an example a good practice, or what we have called a good or best practice. In this case, for example, we propose a project that build-up carried out in Vatrelos in France, which was an off-site energy renovation of a social residential area. So the facade and also the roof elements were prefabricated off-site in a fully automated process. So this is just a clear example of what we try to explain within these chapters. Again, I won't go into detail into each of the good practices that I'm going to show you, because first, I am not involved in the projects, and then you will also find all this information in the handbook of best practices that, at least yesterday, there was a brochure there in that table, so you can take a look at them. If we change to another matter, so circularity, we can say, well, how we can maximize circularity in renovation and also in construction of the districts. So here we propose 3 different actions, First, increasing lifespan. And how? So first, retrofitting and increasing the intensity of use. Then we can also use long-lasting materials. And also delaying the demolition. So thinking of the construction as an alternative to demolition, to the conventional way. Then reducing the need for the material consumption, so we try to use the resources more efficiently. How, again, we ask? So maximizing the reuse and the recycling, and also thinking of design for disassembly. So this is a technique, or this is an idea of creating long-lasting materials with resistant components. So the aim is that once these elements have accomplished their mission and we want to, for example, deconstruct the building, we can safely disassemble these elements without damages, so we could reuse them in the future. And then we mentioned also the new generation materials. So from prefabricated facades that we already mentioned in the previous chapters of modular building systems, bio-based materials, so those that comes from living organisms, and nature-based solutions, so those solutions inspired and also supported by nature. A very good example here is the Super Circular State project, which was carried out in Kerkrade, sorry for my pronunciation, in the Netherlands, and they relied on circular economy for the construction of 4 new buildings in place or taking into account and reusing and recycling the materials from 3 outdated social housing flats. Again, you can find more information in the handbook on once these blueprints are released, that I will mention it after. And then, just to mention another example of one of the chapters we are including in the blueprint is design and architectural approaches at building scale. So we could ask what are the best technical and architectural approaches to combine all purposes? So when working on this, the first thing that came to our mind was the new European Bauhaus. I guess most of you have already heard about it. And its 3 main pillars, which are sustainability, aesthetics, and inclusion. Therefore, we propose different actions, such as, for example, I'm going to mention just a couple of them. So, considering circular economy, making residents aware of the new uses of the building, because it has no sense if we invest a lot of resources, we think of technologies, and we implement them, but if we don't explain them these new functionalities, it has no sense. So this is why we have to involve residents from the beginning, as yesterday was already mentioned during all the social discussions that we have. Then we could also propose improving the interaction with building surroundings, for example, insulation, lighting, accessibility, and many others. And of course, regarding the inclusion, so accessibility, improving quality life in housing. And just to finish, here there's an example that, by the way, was already mentioned yesterday by Joao in his presentation, is Savonnerie-Aimant. It was a farm salt factory that was converted into a social housing project in Brussels. And with this, I finish my presentation. I would like to thank my colleagues from Greenflex that are in the audience and here, because they have contributed to the technical module. And I would like to mention or to highlight that this is work in progress, and the 3 modules of the blueprint are not available yet, but will be released at the beginning of 2024. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nerea, for your excellent presentation. It was very dense and a lot of information, and I'm quite sure that we will have questions on the presentation. We will have a round table at the end. Normally we will have also very short Q&A session after each presentation, but for the moment I would like to just note your questions to Nerea, because our next speaker, Sebastian, is a little bit in a time rush, so he has to leave early. So it's like I would like to hand over the mic directly to him. The link is already made with Greenflex. Sebastian is the head of the Net Zero Energy Retrofit Market Development Team of Energy Sprong, which, as I understand, it's more like a network, like a loose network, international network, and he's Chief Development Officer of the consulting branch of Greenflex. And he will give a presentation on the industrialized approach to renovation. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to introduce the developments on this technology side of the energy strong movement that has introduced is a transnational cooperation movement, and we try to capitalize on innovation that takes place all through Europe, documented in order to speed up the process. So, as you can mention, Energy Strong is not very French. This is Dutch and a born initiative, but we thought that was smart, and we do believe in the beauty of European cooperation, and we try to implement it in France. This is the job I done, and other partners did in the United Kingdom, other in Germany, other in Italy, and we're going to start soon in Ireland, and maybe in Austria and elsewhere in Europe. So I want you to get that perspective about how we see the fields of innovations and what we're working on. So I'm going to start, but one of the topic is for now, we're taking technology. About all climate technology, the less popular is building. I mean, when you see the cover of magazine, they telling you about electric planes, hydrogen cars, they're telling you about penguins, forests, wind turbines, but never ever you see the cover of the magazine about technical innovation in the construction sectors. And that's a problem, because actually that's 40% of the problem to be solved. In Europe, 40% of EU emissions are the ones from buildings. And we do believe, oh, this is not technical. Yes, it is. There's some techniques involved, and definitely that's a place we should be investing and taking efforts in order improving solutions. So, yeah, the question is, should construction and retrofit remain under-efficient? Yeah, why should it? No, there's a big challenge. We want, as that was mentioned, good solution, climate-neutral solution to be affordable. So that should be the heart of technology. And basically, it's as much as good as to have deep energy retrofit 50% cheaper than it is that having production of hydrogen 15% cheaper, or wind turbine 15% cheaper. I mean, getting cheaper the climate technology should also come for a solution to retrofit. However, that's not top of the conversation at a global worldwide level. And we've seen in history of technology sometimes jumps that come from times. And sometimes in 10-year times, big change happened in technology. Only horse-driven cars. 10 years later, there will be only diesel-driven cars. So not for the best in matter of climate, but at the time the problem of horse in cities was the big challenge they wanted to solve because of what get out of the horses. So basically, but 10 years, but that's kind of the time we have 10-year challenge to solve climate issues and to put things in the right rhythm in order for things to work. So the issues is, what is the future of building industry? For sure, there will be incredible weird building for which specific approach will be needed. Maybe that's 20% of the market. 20% is very, okay. Also, the guy from next door trying to do his best, but we have a potential to be more mass market. You have kind of a prefabricated solution to retrofit building which are not historical, they're not classified, and maybe that's the right way. Between Yves Saint Laurent or my grandma knitting, if we have kind of a Zara or H&M which is affordable, decent, even production and quality, I mean there's some controversy, but basically affordable things to have another layer, a sustainable layer around existing building is quite a challenge. And obviously a lot of effort took place already in Europe for the remaining 10 years to develop those things. So the idea is to support the scale-up. So in matter of these technological developments, when you're talking prefab, the idea is you start doing a 3D scan of your existing building. You try to do out of sites, 3 big building blocks that could help you having this new cover. So there's one challenge, which is doing prefab insulating facade. So from different technologies, that could be wooden facade, steel frame facade, different solutions. You would have the same system from the roof systems, where you have insulated solar roofs that you install on existing roofs. And the third big technology comes with integrated energy module that would produce the energy, the heat, they could do the regulation of your energy systems, basically, and doing obviously the ventilation for quality of air into the building, but basically those 3 building blocks could make 80% of the value of a building. And the story, if you want to get industrial in your savings, is jump out of a culture where from building A to building B, 20% is the same as 80% is different, and you reinvent the wheel. You want this the opposite side, a kind of a core of 80% of the technology used for every project, and then 20% is specific, is district-based, given the architecture, the types, the specific inhabitant needs that you want to develop. But we have to jump to do these efforts. So there's basically, different kind of technological developments. You would see innovation at product level. People doing new kind of innovation, new bio-based insulation, cool. So that's the first layer of innovation, which is really product innovation. Then you have innovation of integrated component. Because sometimes if you're able to do this prefab facade with this glass, with this insulation, with these covers, that's, these prefab walls. So prefab walls sometimes used only technology that people use traditionally in construction works for 20 years. But the thing of pre-installing that off-site and installing very efficiently might make the implementation and the cost of implementation a lot cheaper, which we care, because if it's less expensive, that's awesome. And then the first line is kind of building type innovation, because we have to think more to be efficient building types. The kind of solution that match row house in bricks are not the one that are going to deliver small collective 3-story building in concrete or the 8-story building. So we have to also think what's the proper mix of solution that fits different building types. And this is the remaining technology, things you would see when you go in the street afterwards. And you would see there are also other innovation technology which are the invisible innovation. Then when you see the project delivered, you have no idea they were ever used. Some are bad characterization techniques, because if you want to use prefab solution, you'd better not come on the site, construction site, it's 10 centimeters bigger than we thought it was. So there's issue about 3D scanning, getting the proper data, because building might look alike, two buildings, but in fact, it's not really the same size, the same width. So there's big topics in technology about that. There will be technology that would take place in the factory. If you have robots who are more efficient and able to produce the prefab elements in a more affordable way, but that's really about robots into factories. So something you don't see when you see implemented on sites. And there are also site technology, which is the delivery. Maybe you have new kind of crane, and crane that make you able to install maybe 4 facades during 1 hour rather than 2, because there's really innovation of implementation, how you have lean practice in construction site, because people are getting crazy efficient, and actually workers, where they would use 5 months to deliver a project, now they can deliver in 3 months. And for sure, if it's more shortly, then less cost, and that's a gain for everyone. And there's usually also innovation by digital twins and integrated workflow in order that all this process becomes very efficient. So that's another field of innovation that is to be seen. But obviously this innovation technically fits also with contractual innovation, financial innovation, and social innovation that we witnessed and discussed yesterday. And we see definitely progress are possible. So every new project is complicated, but for the instance in France, we were able in 3 years to jump from 20 housing unit to 2,000 with support of the government's recovery plan post-COVID. And that was quite interesting. And with a first collective buying scheme, which is about contractual innovation, because you want to provide solution people scale. That doesn't exist, a housing association that have 2,000 housing which are look-alike. But that's another story if you jump at different housing association, because sometimes the same architects and the construction company delivered for different housing association at regional level some building that look alike, because that's how we would build between 72 and 74. And there was another style between 83 and 85. And that's also working collectively with different housing organizations that we could propose batch of building that look alike, for which this industrialization would make price, and then we end with an more affordable price. So that's the efforts we're working with other people in the country. So the most advanced country for now is in the Netherlands, with more than 7,000 homes delivered. In France, we're around 2,000. So effort taking place also in Germany with more 500, 300 in the UK and 5 in Italy. And surprisingly or not, prices are getting down. Not fast enough. I dream that after 5 years effort, there will be minus 15%, 50%. That's rather minus 20% in France, going from 20 to 2,000. And that's the first start. There will be another gain in cost when we jump from 2,000 to 20,000. And when we'll jump from 20,000 to 200,000, that will be another jump. We have to all be patient, because at first, you have to deliver kits of solution for a different housing type. It's not because you deliver the first time in one typology of individual house that suddenly when you go for a collective house the next day, miraculously things become cheaper in other housing types. There are a lot of things to try and do. So for now, in Europe, market of different maturity. So because for sure there's strong experience of the housing type of Netherlands, it's getting better in France, in Germany, and other people are jumping in. And I was saying there are interest from Ireland, from Austria, maybe from other countries, and we want to share at most of those learnings. That's really what we want to do for that. And the important thing also, in matter of this technology progress, there's no technology progress that would jump with price and more affordability if there's also a change in the demand. You cannot just, oh, guys, construction company, get more industrial and be cheaper. It's not an injection. It comes also in the way you design your market housing organization. You provide things. What are the specifications you use? And thinking blueprints, that's very interesting in that perspective and that efforts delivered by Shape. Because what's the core thing? That thing that they won't reinvent the wheel because some specification will come common. I mean, we have to end a perspective where 100 building, that's 100 technical specification. We have to have 100 building, 3 technical specification. And then you choose the one, and there will be different social contexts, but if you ask every time technical specification different, you have no, it's just, they do one-shot project in a factory rather than off-site, but it's still expensive. Affordability from you don't reinvent the engineering of your systems. So, in that perspective, the important thing is also typology matters. For which housing types will I go for which blueprint? And that's really this cross thinking that will help these developments. So we have to jump sometimes from project to product, adapted to some archetypes. And the most advanced in Netherlands are those perspectives. They would know, they would consider the Netherlands, 80% of the housing stock is made of 11 typology. There's the individual house, row house from the 60s. There's the middle row house from the 70s. There's the story building for the 80s. And comes for each of those house typology, a mix of solution with different solution providers that help you, okay, that's a mix of industrial solution to go net zero, the one to go B-level energy retrofit. Yeah, and that's where we want to end. And they know what they do because they have already retrofitted 300 of them, 500 of these types, so they're really confident in the price they can give you as a housing association when you go for it. And then you're able, you make your economics and say, okay, given the energy savings, the level of rent, yes, it makes, there's a business case going to that technology. For now, maybe I don't have a business case yet, but when the market will scale to 100,000 and the price will be not 70K, but maybe 50K, because with the volumes, then I will have a business case, which allow you also housing association to do some planning. Year one, that's that building in that area that will go for to purchase this retrofit. Next year, there'll be another one. And I mean, there's really this planning. And the thing is, there's different standards to apply, a few of them. But yeah, obviously there's different approach, different solution. We're not going to the market where there'll be one guy deliver one solution for entire Europe. There's a 50 shade of deep energy retrofit with different mix of solution. But the thing is, we have to jump from 500 specification to a few of them in order to allow that some people replicate their solution, but in mix with sometimes others. This is really the way to go. And this thinking at regional catalogs for dozens and thousands of the energy retrofit is really something interesting. And actually, we're into working beyond what is taking place at Shape EU level, involving 2 other EU cooperation efforts. One is named Giga Factory, because we do believe any efforts of industrial deep energy retrofit should be think at a regional level. I mean, you have a scale to have to economy of scales. You have to think at 5 to 10 million people a region, basically. I mean, there's no economy of scale of building in Marseille with the Mediterranean countries and building mixed with building in Lille with oceanic countries in France. We have to think really at a decent level. What we want to do is developing 3 tools to optimize collective buying scheme strategy. Because in France we have a first attempt and we think, okay, next time we'll do better. So we want to provide tools that allow at a regional level different housing associations to better aggregate their housing types to provide to the market. Also better improve the mix of solutions that fit these housing types. Also, what are the tools to plan change of scale for also industrial player? Maybe I'm into wooden facade and they deliver 500 a year. But what happens if, because of progress we're making collectively, the market jumped from 500 to 5,000 or 50,000? If my production or the demand of the market increased tenfold, 100-fold, what do I do? Do I build 10 times more factory, or are they the giant one? You have to optimize between the cost of transportation, cost of building, cost of materials, and there's thinking and some planning. And that's quite a young science, and a lot of learnings and thinking are needed to optimize this system of deep energy retrofit, for which the amount of experience is limited and feedbacks. And another one initiative we're involved is called, and sorry, the name is wrong in this one, is Energy Poverty Zero. And the idea is to work at district level. We're thinking lighthouse district, how you have an impulsion from a housing association that say, I have in that district 100 house, and that would be retrofit in a deep energy model. That's fitting the call of public tender law, because that's what housing associations do. But then what comes with the private homeowner just nearby? They will look awesome building being retrofitted and themselves, oh, what can I do myself? So I could blend with innovation contracting, and the thing that we could do a collective buying scheme in between housing association, but letting private owners nearby that have houses that look like, oh, I want also retrofit work to be delivered in my house, and write the right financial package, which would be beneficial for everyone. Because it's the construction company, rather than delivering 100 houses for the housing association, deliver 300, because there will another 200 for the private homeowners, bigger volume, better price for everyone. So basically, there's not one single way. Going to that path of more affordable deep energy retrofit, that comes with different kind of innovation. Innovation in planning, innovation in robots, innovation in digital tools, innovation in contracting to get more volume mainstream. And that's different field of innovation. That's the Energy Sprong Foundation is glad to investigate with other partners for Europe and be able maybe to launch new initiative with some of you guys that we've seen these days presenting interesting perspective and innovation. So yeah, now our big collective challenge is jumping from 10,000s to millions. Also the leverage that help us go from nothing to 10,000, which is a first good step, or maybe different leverage that be able us to scale up. And I think the big challenge also is to think EU is very supportive of that effort. Most of them were EU funded, but what we don't have yet is a priority strategy for deep energy retrofit. I mean, if you go on EU website where the priority industry for Europe, you would see wind turbines, you would see microchips, you don't see yet deep energy retrofit. And that should be, we have to stop pouring millions system. We have to start pouring billion in the systems, because it's as respectful to work on deep energy retrofit that it is to work on hydrogen or wind turbines. That's really the way to go. And yeah, that comes obviously from investment, but also new thinking. And that was just because we had a president of Housing Europe, which is Danish, but I thought, yeah, let's build dreams and thinking. The problem we have is young boys, young girls that want to play what I'm going to be tomorrow. They want to be engineers to build cars, to build rockets, but they don't want to be engineers to build deep energy retrofit. Why that? Because in Lego City Kids, you have a Lego City Kids for wind turbines, you have a Lego City Kids to do tramway, you don't have a Lego City Kids to do deep energy retrofit of social housing. And we're missing that, because that's part of the thinking from day one. Why there's not social housing box? Retrofit. I mean, people are thinking, dreaming, yeah, electric cars, yeah. We have also to have this thinking that comes, and I think that's aligned with the spirit of New Open Bauhaus. What's the dream of tomorrow? I want every kid to dream, he wants to play a role in this crucial, just transition, which is making affordable deep energy retrofit. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry I have to leave to catch a train, but I'm in the room, my deputy Nicholas, and what the first pioneer housing association, represented by Fabien just behind, could give a perspective of the kind of efforts if you have additional questions for the debate. Thanks, everyone.
We have time for one question or another about.
1 point.
Thank you for this inspiring presentation. Let's build dreams. Let's move from the project to the product. You mentioned this slide with 60% industrial, 20% traditional, and 20% special. That's a goal. What do you think? Where are we now? Where is the regular? Is it probably rather almost 50% special, 50% traditional? And when is the turning point that we really can take off with the industrial approach, and that it's getting cheaper?
There won't be a big day of everything's turned industrial. It's going to go by step. I mean, 3 years ago in France, there was 20 houses. Now it's 2,000. So 100-fold progress in 3 years' time, which is good. But when we're talking 2,000 in a country where 26 billion houses have to be retrofitted in France, 2,000 is nothing compared to 26 million. So, I mean, there's step to go further in that direction. So I think, I'm not sure there will be one big day, but for sure it's a chicken and egg problem. No demand, no offer, no demand. And we're here to show how feasible that is and share learnings and feedbacks, things we would improve, because Fabien could witness of that for Villogia that delivered the first project in France. After the first project, you improve things. So there's step to go for it. We have to be patient, but we have also not to say, oh, that was complicated, so we stop forever doing retrofit with those kind of methods. Yeah, let's say progress and in that direction. So we have to dare take times to learn feedbacks and to do also those transnational feedbacks, which are very important. We would never be able to kickstart in France if we couldn't show to manager of housing organization in France and make them visit project in the Netherlands to say, guys, that house in bricks with people living there, how different that is from what we have. This is not. So we should carry on and give it a try, learnings, and resist to, oh, let's do something completely different because it doesn't work. Yeah, maybe it doesn't work in that specific case because, as you was mentioned, not every building types is fitted for that approach. We've seen that in France. We do studies region per region to see what the potential. For sure in Paris city center, with only architecture, heritage building, that's not the approach. To add 40 centimeters facade, there would be no space to walk in the street. But when you the outside of Paris, lot makes a lot of sense, and you add architectural quality to building that miss sometimes architectural quality. So we have to dare to resist. There's a silver bullet and one magical solution, different contexts, different solution, but definitely we says that in France between 30 to 50% of housing types fits that. So this target of 60, that's rather a Dutch perspective because we have a housing stocks in the Netherlands which is more homogeneous than it is in France. But people say, come on, France with the country of 360 cheese, how do you want to organize such a mass market? Yes, in France maybe it's only 30% homogeneous, wherever in some region where there is 60, but solving 30% of the housing problem is still a good progress.
Thank you.
I have a question or comment.
Do we have time?
Yeah, quick one.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I realised you were in a rush. Just Sorcha Edwards from Housing Europe, and Energy Sprung has always been really important reference for us because it shows the construction sector, it's usually a very conservative, very slow-moving sector, but this whole initiative has shown that innovation can really happen, and it's happening in the social sector, which is really indicative. I just wanted to ask two things. So just the link with what was the big topic yesterday, the social acceptance. How can we really make this socially acceptable? Do you have also good practice, good experience to make sure tenants, residents are really accepting and asking for this? And the second one, just at EU level. So obviously we have to bring messages back to the EU level. How are standards, national standards, stopping the progress of these type of initiatives?
To be quick on the first one and the last one, yeah, for sure. We have a common market for everything except from construction material, if we're serious. Because every country has specific certification by national board, or when they pretend to be the same for a real insurance company, won't give any insurance to landlords if it doesn't fit to national stamped standard. So it's a nonsense because sometimes you have a Belgian solution which is awesome. You want the current boundary is 20 kilometers and people tell you, oh, you cannot, you won't have insurance because you don't have the stamp. Nonsense. We need to have also common market for solution for more affordable retrofit. And I think that's a big challenge that have the construction sectors. And for sure, for all the social approach, it's decisive. We want people to get out of fuel poverty very quickly. And the way to embed that, it comes with different methods, things people are not used to. But part of the process and also the beauty of being off-site is very quick. So rather than have people annoyed 1 year with works taking place long, it comes to people not to have to get out of the house and that taking place in 1 month or 2 months. But maybe the best to have a longer answer to that would be Fabien, which he delivered for the Social House Association Pavillon Village in France, a lot of social support for embedding its in habit. Thank you everyone, and happy to get connected further. And if next question is about that, I'm sure that my colleagues will be able to answer it.
So thank you, Sebastian, and have a good journey. We will take up this question then for the roundtable. We will for sure continue this discussion because it's a very important one. Now I would like to move on with you to the next presentation and to welcome Krzysztof Kukucki in our midst. We are very happy to have him here. Krzysztof is the vice mayor of the city of Włocławek. Włocławek. I tried before, I didn't manage, but he will repeat, in Poland. And I think that's very important also to have this part not only from the advisors side or from the housing companies, but really from the side of those responsible persons who are really making this project, making this transition, putting it on the ground, really developing houses, giving also the finances and the political backbone for it. So we are very happy to have him here. He will talk about a program in the city of Włocławek. It's a new construction program on social housing, but not only social housing, but the main idea that it brings a new approach into a city that was dominated by commercial investments, and now the city itself takes up its responsibility to invest into the housing system. He's responsible for investments, urban planning and architecture, public procurement, public transport, energy efficiency. So in fact, a little bit of everything that we need in the just and green transition. Krzysztof, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Włocławek is a city in central Poland with traditions dating back more than 1,000 years. It is currently home to over 100 inhabitants. Włocławek is a typically industrial town with more than 60% of employed people working in factories. After 1989, during the political transformation, many people lost their job in a short period of time. At its peak, unemployment rate reached over 25%. This situation also affected the condition of the old town. In the early 1990s, when many of Włocławek residents were having great difficulty paying their fees, including rent, they often agreed to swap flats. They left the high-standard flats and moved to the very center, where the technical condition of the buildings was already bad. All this means that the old town of Włocławek, instead of being the most prestigious neighborhood, became an excluded area along with its inhabitants. First attempt to reverse this situation took place at the beginning of the 21st century. The current mayor, altogether with the city council, adopted the local revitalization program and began to implement so-called Towards the Vistula program. The Vistula is a river which for centuries had built the economic strength of the city. In the 16th century, Włocławek was a royal customs office, which was the reason for its dynamic development at that time. Getting back to the 21st century, a part of the program called Towards the Vistula. The Vistula boulevards were renovated, which immediately became a favorite leisure destination for inhabitants of Włocławek. In the meantime, with the help of EU funds, the old late 19th century post-factory buildings where beer was once produced were transformed into the Browar B Cultural Center. A new marina on the Vistula River, where one of the oldest rowing associations in Europe has the headquarters, is also built. These activities have made the waterfront part of the city come alive. However, the problem of the remaining area of the old town still remains. In 2080s, the City Council adopted a new municipal revitalization program. This document was created with the help of European Union funds with the support of specialists from the Institute for Urban and Regional Development, a government agency supporting development of the local governments in Poland. One of many elements which are implemented in Włocławek in order to bring the old town back to life and make this part of the city attractive, in addition to social action taken, is also hard work to improve technical infrastructure. First and main task was to create a social support center. We completely redeveloped 2 empty tenement houses with 12 flats, all of which were made available to people with disabilities. There is also a daycare center there where senior citizens can meet. Some events for the local community are also organized there. For 150 years, a unique type of functional ceramic has been produced in Włocławek. Włocławek faience with a unique cobalt pattern take from folk art. In order to emphasize the importance of this tradition, the Interactive Faience Center will be open on 29th September this year, where the history of faience in Włocławek will be presented in an intuitive way, and visitors will additionally be able to make and then decorate ceramic in a traditional way on their own. In addition, there will be also a modern graphics workshop with a 3D printer there. The Interactive Faience Center was set up in a revitalized area is historic buildings which had been devastation in recent years. Today, it is to be one of the magnets that attract people to the revitalized area, the oldest part of the city. However, we are fully aware that we should take care to broaden the social cross-section of the inhabitants of the city district. That is why we announced an architectural competition in 2020 for development of the entire quarter located between Cyganka Brzeska Żabia and the district Main Street, 3rd Maya. The winner of this competition designed a complex of 4 buildings with a residential function on the undeveloped space in this quarter. We know that we also need affluent residents in the city center. Therefore, this project is mainly addressed to them, and flats built by a municipal company will be available with the possibility of so-called access to ownership. This means that the flats will eventually become the property of the tenants. We are aware that having to repay the loan required in order to realize this investment will increase monthly payments. That is why during the project we focus on keeping running costs as low as possible. Therefore, we designed the building to a passive standard which will be energy self-sufficient for most time of the year. These flats will be equipped with a recuperation system. Heating will come from a heat pump, and electricity will be produced by photovoltaic panels placed on the roof of the buildings. A parking space will also be assigned to each of these flats. It is going to be an underground car park in order to leave the cartier exclusively at the disposal of people who will spend their time there, surrounded by nature. The water necessary for its upkeeping is collected in a retention tank in which we retain rainwater. We are at the process of designing another complex of buildings in the old town in a similar standard, which will be constructed and the junction of Tumska and 3rd Maya Street, in the next to the old Market Square. We have to deal with old tenement houses with vacant flats in the revitalized area. We are currently redeveloping a tenement houses 4/6 Maślana Street, which is also in the vicinity of the old Market Square. We also have redevelopment project ready for tenement houses Królewiecka 12, Brzeska 15, 3rd Maya 9 and 3rd Maya 6. All these buildings will undergo thermal modernization. They will be equipped with heat pumps and photovoltaics. This is the way we will be able to provide residents with several doors of flats for rent, completed in a turnkey standard. The housing policy implemented by Włocławek is not only limited to the revitalized area. Since 2014, I have been consistently convincing local community to the concept of building flats for rent. I admit that the model for me was Vienna, of course. When I became deputy mayor, I gained the opportunity to make my big dream come true. Within the framework of Celozowa project, which name is after the street where the new housing estate is located, 288 families have been living here for over a year, and further 144 will move in next February. To underline the uniqueness of the flats in Poland, I will quote statistic. These 288 flats that we handed over the resident last year is accounted for almost 45% on communal flats which were built last year throughout Poland. These flats are also unique for other reasons. Firstly, it is some form of revitalization because this new housing estate was built on the site where a paper production factory operated until late 1990s. Secondly, these flats are exclusively for rent, which is not a common phenomenon in Poland. Flats are mainly built by developers and there are usually commercial flats sold to private owners. Thirdly, these flats are built to turnkey standard. They are ready to move in the moment they are handed over to the tenants. Each of these flats has a balcony or terrace and an assigned in own storage room. Of course, there is photovoltaic installation on the roof, which produces electricity needed for common areas and lifts. Buildings were designed with the use of 3D computer technology, and they are made of prefabricated components. Prefabricated elements were delivered to the construction site. Construction of one floor, when it's come to a block with 3 staircases, took 1 week. And when it's come to a block with 5 staircases, it took 2 weeks. Then, of course, all flats have to be finished. First stage of Celozowa project, which took 18 months. Second stage is being built and going to be finished within 11 months. I'm talking about the entire construction cycle, including landscaping. We have taken care of our large area of green space, including a water-permeable pavement surface. Each flat also has an assigned parking space, and there are retention basins where we collect rainwater underneath the car park. Last year, we completed all transport infrastructure for the estate, altogether with payments, bike path, etc. Taking such a great interest in flats for rent under construction, we have designed the next buildings, which will be constructed under localization. These are buildings on Starodębska Street, where more than 80 flats will be built, and 2 buildings on Łubinowa Street, where 144 flats for rent will be built. They will also be made of prefabricated elements. Due to the large number of people with eviction centers, one request of the person responsible for social policy in Wrocław, we are also going to build 80 social housing units. These are going to be built to a turnkey standard. They will be full autonomous with their own installation, included heat installation. Each flat will be equipped with recuperation system, with infrared ceiling heating, which will be supported by a photovoltaic installation on roof on the buildings. These buildings will be construction to a passive house standard. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Christoph?
Yeah.
Doesn't work? Does it work? Okay, yeah. Yeah, thank you very much for this quick overview on a very, very massive and big and visionary program in your city. We have the possibility to have very short questions immediately. For a longer discussion, we move then to the round table. But is there any direct question to Christoph to this program?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your inspiring and really interesting, encouraging presentation. You mentioned in the beginning that Vienna was partly an inspiration, and it is an inspiration for many researchers, advocates and policymakers around Europe as well. Perhaps you could talk us a little bit through how you adapted some of the ideas. What was your city's policy making adaptation, if you like, of the aspects of the Vienna model? If you could just be a bit more specific on the actual perhaps the financial arrangements or the ideas, what was specific about them and how they were adapted.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can collect one second question and then a collected answer. Yeah. Yeah, maybe all three, and you answer all the three questions. And for all the further questions, we will move to the panel discussion afterwards.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to add something to the first question. I actually wanted to bring the example of our project in Greece. The contribution also from another perspective, because I'm happy we can talk also with the mayor, because it's really important to have also the aspect of the financial and political push, how you started to foster and to implement this mentality and this program. Actually in Greece, I briefly introduce my project. Our project in Greece, I collaborate.
Sorry, could you keep it very brief to move on? Because in fact the discussion would be at the end. It should be rather very short understanding questions for the moment.
Okay, maybe I have the possibility to explain it a bit better afterwards. But the thing is, we don't have in Greece right now the support and the involvement of the municipality for this kind of project, and also the market. There's no attraction for the market in renovation and refurbishment. So we started a refurbishment project in convert an existing building in passive house, in way to do it. But my question is, how is it possible to have more support and more involvement from the municipality, from a financial and political point of view, and from your side?
Okay. The third question, then you ask to all the three.
I'm Fabien Lasser. I'm responsible for innovation department for Village and Social Housing Association in France. I'm really impressed with your presentation because we tried in France to deliver the 600 passive house housing. It was really hard, difficult to change their habits and to invest money on it. So my question is it quite common in Poland to have a passive house standard? And is it quite common to develop self-construction with PV panels and outside construction? Is it quite common or quite innovative for you?
To tego nie zrozumiałem.
Okay.
Okay, my English is no good, you know. So in Polish
Okej.
odpowiadać.
Pierwsze pytanie było,
wiem.
jakie aspekty dokładnie załatwiono?
Z Wiedniem to przede wszystkim przełamanie w Polsce takiego myślenia o tym, że mieszkania muszą być tylko na własność, że mogą być mieszkania na wynajem i my we Włocławku jesteśmy pionierem, jeżeli chodzi o mieszkania na wynajem, które buduje samorząd.
So, hello, can you hear me?
A, może to.
No, it starts. When you speak in, it starts together.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks. With regard to your question, the main inspiration was a change in mentality that ownership is not the only answer when it comes to people wanting to access a better housing situation. That rental is actually the answer to a better to better housing. And so that was the main inspiration that they took from Vienna. And Włocławek in this regard is a pioneer, or one of the pioneers in Poland.
Yeah, it's true.
Następne pytanie dotyczyło, w jaki sposób właśnie była zmiana tej mentalności i w jaki sposób można politykę jakby doprowadzić do tego, żeby w ogóle chcieli takie zmiany implementować.
My jak gdyby przed faktem dokonanym postawiliśmy innych. No i zaczęliśmy wdrażać te mieszkania na wynajem, ale też rozumiem, że tutaj chodziło też o to budownictwo pasywne, że jak gdyby przeskoczyliśmy cały etap. Od razu jak już projektowaliśmy te budynki na wynajem, to już wiedzieliśmy, że chcemy mieć jak najlepszą efektywność energetyczną.
So with regard to your question, they basically already had the whole project planned out and just presented the facts. And they knew from the beginning that the new buildings were supposed to have a very high energy standard and wanted to implement all these.
Że na te 288 mieszkań mieliśmy ponad 1000 wniosków, więc jak gdyby wyczuliśmy tą potrzebę.
They kind of sensed that there was within society a need or they knew that there was this need for housing, and for the first 288 apartments, they actually had already 1,000 applications as soon as the projects were presented.
Okay, no i trzecie?
And the third question, could you just shortly repeat it, because
That was about the passive. That was the
Passive house.
that was about
I think the second one was how to get the political movement support, but he is the political. So.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Tak, to znaczy my zaczęliśmy to projektować myśląc, że będziemy finansować w 100% z własnego budżetu. Natomiast w międzyczasie pojawiły się środki z budżetu państwa i byliśmy pierwszym samorządem, który z tych środków skorzystał.
So at first they thought that they will have to finance these projects from their own budget, but then they got financing from the state because it became possible to access financing. So this is how they then finance these projects.
I jeszcze było pytanie, czy często właśnie w Polsce jest takie budownictwo, jeśli chodzi o pasywne?
Nie, 45% ja mówiłem. 288 mieszkań, które oddaliśmy w zeszłym roku, to 45% wszystkich mieszkań komunalnych w Polsce.
Yeah, no, it's not common in Poland to implement
high energy solutions like this. So.
For the outside building, is it common?
Sorry?
For the outside building, the prefabricated building?
Jeśli chodzi o prefabrykanty, to też nie jest to częste, że na przykład te panele solarne są używane?
Nie, to nie jest prefabrykaty. Jeżeli chodzi o samo budownictwo, no to akurat we Włocławku mamy 2 fabryki prefabrykatów, ale większość tych prefabrykatów jedzie do Skandynawii. W Polsce to jest dopiero, jak gdyby wracamy, bo się źle kojarzy z poprzednim systemem, ustrojem politycznym.
So in Poland they are just returning to prefabricates. Actually, most of the parts are going to Scandinavia. So in Poland right now they're kind of implementing the system again. For a long time it wasn't used because it was negatively connotated.
A jeżeli chodzi o panele fotowoltaiczne i pompy ciepła, no to u nas, jeżeli chodzi o budownictwo komunalne, to już jest standard.
And when it comes to municipal housing and things like solar panels or heat pumps, this has become by now standard in municipal communal housing.
We Włocławku oczywiście.
In Włocławek, of course. In general, it's not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Christoph. Thank you really for this inspiring example of your city. And let's see that there are politicians who really are in favor of this transition. And yeah, thank you. We'll now move on to the next level. Another level, we had already the point of view of a consultant on the European level. Then we had the point of view or the presentation of a politician on a municipal level. And now we add with Felix Assmann the point of view of a housing association on a regional level. And Felix Assmann, he is, from his background, he's urban and regional planner, which I think is very good for this kind of job that you're doing. And he works at the Unternehmensgruppe Nassauische Heimstätte, Wohnstadt. I cannot translate this. This is the housing association of Hessen, if I understood it right, more or less. And it's publicly owned, I assume.
We are mainly owned by the federal state of Hesse and the city of Frankfurt. Yeah.
And his job is mainly to develop integrated urban development processes and project management, but not only on the or not at first place on the object level, but really on the city level. And what he will explain today in his presentation, I'm really looking forward to it. It's about a project called Your Voice, a digital tool for integrated urban development. So exactly to make this bridge between technological solutions and social innovation, and to use technology to bring social processes in development, and then again to bridge it with the goal of a renovation. Felix, we are curious.
Yeah, thank you very much for the warm welcome. I will introduce you to Your Voice, but the Nassauische Heimstätte Wohnstadt, it's a complicated name even in Germany. We are a housing company with more than 60,000 apartments in Hesse and Thüringen. We are state-owned by the federal state of Hesse and the city of Frankfurt and some smaller cities, but these are the two main owners. We have more than 150,000 tenants from more than 100 nations. About 730 employees in Frankfurt and in Kassel in northern Hessen. And I work for the Projektstadt. It's a part of the Nassauische Heimstätte. We are the urban development part. So we work as consultants for more than 140 cities in Germany. We are consulting municipalities in urban development, climate resilient urban development, land mobilization, management of competitions and awards. And a big part of our job is always dialogue and participation with people. And for the start, I will go step back and tell you about 10 principles for good quality and participation. You must want to engage people in your process. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. It makes no sense when you don't want to participate people, but you do it. There will be no. It will bring you nothing. So pay attention to the issues and actors and bring a good framework for the conditions. So think about your resources and what you want to bring to the process, and it will bring a good result. It needs clear goals. Tell the people where they can participate and where they cannot participate, so they know what to do. Start early in every process. You need the resources and enable diverse participation. So have different approaches to engage the people into the process. Requires a common understanding of the rules in this process. So tell the people what you expect, how they should act. Based on transparency and reliable information exchange. So bring a transparent process to your project, and you will engage people in a good way. Learn from your experiences. It's always in every project, not only participation. It's always important. These is just examples. It's the city of Vienna or Berlin, or most big cities have good handbooks for participation. It's just an example. It's not a conclusive list. But what does that mean in daily life? When we come to a project with development funding, the project mainly goes 10 to 15 years. So you have, in the beginning, you have a participation process, and the people are confronted with a lot of projects, a lot of things happening in their community, in their district, and it's quite overwhelming to have these many changes. So it's how you renew your green areas, demolition of old stocks, modernization of old stocks, building new apartments, new neighborhood center, and maybe new kindergartens. Remove parking spaces, always a hard point in participation project. And we are doing this for 20, 30 years, normal participation processes, and it's always quite hard to get the people into this 15-year-long process. And we thought we want a new way. We want to increase the range. We want more people to come to us and talk to us. We want it accessible 24 hours, 7 days a week, always accessible for the people whenever they want, maybe when they are in the tram or on the way home from work, maybe in the lunch break, whenever they want. Dialogue between the citizens, politicians, and the administrations. The administrations can answer the questions of the people, of the citizens, whenever they want. Make projects understandable. So it's for us as planners, it's quite easy to understand a written plan, what's happening in 10 years, or a visualization. But the normal people are not used to these things. So we want to make the project understandable. We increase the understanding of the planning, reduce the areas, the barriers of participation, and arouse interest in urban development. That's one major project. So we developed Your Voice. It's a 3D planning tool that's online, accessible all the time. This is a project of inner city renovation with several 10 to 15 projects that are going to happen there in about 10 to 12 years. We have all the projects listed, visualized, accessible. You can see whatever there's going on. You can see what's already happened. You have the documentation of the whole process. And you can easily understand what's going on there. This old shopping center that was demolished. There will be shopping, housing, living public spaces are going to be built up there. So the whole community can see what's going on in the next 10 to 12 years, this process. So this is a project we started 2 months ago. This development plan that's open at the moment. There's a formal participation process going on to this development plan at the moment. We have put this plan into 3D and put it online so that everyone can see what's going on there. It's not just a plan in some meters on a wall in a town hall. It's 3D. You can understand how big is a new building when in the neighbor. So of course, when we see a plan, okay, it's a three-story building. We understand what that means for the neighborhood. But does the neighbor understand that in a normal way? No. So with this, you can see, oh, okay, it's big, but it's not that big, or maybe I should write the mayor a letter. So you have to have the chance to come into contact with other people, the administration, in a very early phase. This is there's the development plan. This project will go on for the next 4 to 5 years. You have now the chance to understand what's going on. And this is an old airfield. It's not in use anymore. So you can understand where we are going. So this is another project. It's a climate adaptation project where we have several projects going on to renovate urban green spaces in the city, and this is an urban heat map we implemented, and this abstract maps that are very common in planning, quite new, not new for us as planners, but the normal people probably see them for the first time. This is very easy to understand when you know you're living there. Okay, the next summer when it's getting hot, the street outside will be very hot if there are not trees planted, for example. There's another project. This is actually a project of the Nassauische Heimstätte. It's new apartment houses with nearly 240 new apartments that are going to be built. This is the biggest project in the city, but it's going on there. We had in this project, in this area live about 6,000 people. We had within 2 weeks, we had over 1,000 people that looked online on this model and not all gave us a repeat, but they came in contact with the administration, with the politicians, and looked what's going on in their neighborhood. So we give the information, we give the participation, and we also give the visualization. This is the same project. You can see the planning for the green areas that are going to renew, and also we have here a Minecraft game that was also a workshop with young people to renew the playgrounds in this area. You can see a video of the workshop, you can see the results of the workshop, and you can see now how the results of the workshops are going to put into place. We just integrated geographic information system to your voice, so that the cities can put more information into our system. That's the most important platform for cities, geographic information systems. So with this, we have the connection to urban data platforms that we can put more information in our system. It's more attractive for people to come and look on your voice because you get more and more information. District heating is a very important theme for cities in Germany at the moment. We are also planning to implement that. And artificial intelligence, since ChatGPT, everyone knows about artificial intelligence, we are also trying to implant it and get results. So get better results out of our participation projects. So we are open for projects in your city and also projects in research and digital participation. So if you are interested, you can just join on us on our website. Yeah, thank you.
That was a very quick ending. Thank you. Again, you have now the possibility to have, let's say, 2 short direct questions to Felix. But remember, we will right immediately afterwards have the panel discussion where you again will have the possibility for discussion. But 2 short questions we can have now. Yes, 1, 2.
Hello, thanks a lot for your presentation. I was just wondering, because you showed some examples of visualization of the projects that are ongoing in the city. Is there any way now in the future that the residents can influence or can send feedback on the projects?
Yes.
How do they do it?
Yes, it's quite easy. You have a comment button on every project. You can comment every project, you can rate it. We have this 5-star rating of Google copied. It's quite easy for everyone. You can write a short text. We are in contact with municipalities, give the feedback back and they answer. So you have a direct dialogue with people who are responsible.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting. I have a question. Do you have more requests protesting opposition by giving some information to people living nearby the project? Is it a risk for you?
We have less problems than in other participation projects. So when you go to a town hall, you meet maybe one time a year or something. The people know that they can always get online and give the feedback, and I think that's the important thing, that you can very easily stop the pushbacks because you are early in the process and accessible. This is a very important thing for the people and they recommend it. So, yeah.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm Saskia, I'm a PhD researcher. Really interesting digital platform. I'm wondering though, kind of elaborating on what this gentleman just said about feedback and problems and reintegrating that into your design and project. How are you also making sure that this is one of many tools to collaborate with people who might be less computer literate? Your feedback might only come from a small percentage of people if you only use this digital platform that then inform your design along one angle. You know, what are you doing to safeguard that you're getting really diverse opinions that impact your project?
We don't only do the digital part, we also do normal participation processes. That's a recommendation I would always give. Never do just one thing, do it digital and when you are in the town hall, or maybe you have someone that's still always in the district for. So do both, then it works.
Sorry, just really quickly, and also are you then holding events where you're kind of opening teaching possibilities about using this platform, so you can invite people and then you're teaching people how to use it who might not necessarily be as computer literate?
Yeah.
You don't have them.
Yeah, that's we always do the big welcome when it starts, and we are accessible if you have questions to the product. Yeah.
One sentence, yes, usually we do this transformation in the cities for 10 years in Germany. So we use this tool over the 10 years to show the whole transformation for the citizen. So it's a long term.
Okay, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, presenters, for your inspiring presentations. We will now have a very short break. You can stretch your legs or grab a coffee or whatever you like. And I would like to invite you to come back in, let's say 7 minutes at 5:30. And then we will sum up with a round table. We will discuss with all the presenters, and Sebastian will be replaced by Nicolas, who will join the discussion. And then again, you will have the possibility to ask your questions to the speakers.
Come back to your seats. We will continue with the...
Mic on.
Yeah, but...
Can you try again?
Yes. Hello. Hello. May I invite you to come back to your seats? We will continue with the round table. And you know, you have so many questions in mind. Now it's the possibility to ask them if you come back to your seats, please.
Yeah, sure.
Felix. Hey everybody. Welcome back. We're now starting the last part of the morning session, the round table on the affordable technical innovations for sustainability. But first I would like to draw your attention to the event that is going to take place in the afternoon right here at this place. Maybe most of you are already registered. If not, you still have the possibility. It's a side event of this bootcamp on shaping housing markets, the economic impact of affordable housing, organized by the Austrian Federation of Limited Profit Housing Associations, but in cooperation with Housing Europe. And yeah, we will have very interesting speakers from the Austrian Institute of Economic Research, from Julie Lawson from MIT from Australia, Volker Ziemann from the OECD, and Stefan Zeugner from the DG ECFIN from the European Commission. So I would like to invite you to stay here in the afternoon at 1:30. This session will start right after the lunch break. But now let's get back to our technical solutions for affordable housing. The round table with our presenters. And the first question I would like to ask all of you, but maybe try to keep it short. What were the three main success factors of your approach or of your idea or project, whatever it is? What are the three most important success factors? You have your mic. Yeah, we can start by Felix.
I think the most important things are to start early in the participation process, to give the relevant information to the public, and to be accessible, to be accessible and give feedback to the questions and to the comments of the people.
Thank you. Yes, Christoph, please.
Yes, first it's flats for rents in Celozawa project. It's first, of course, it's my opinion. And second, effective energy buildings in Włocławek. Yes, it's fair? I don't know.
2 is okay, fine.
For energy strong projects, I think the main success factor is working at the same time with the offer and the demand, because if you want industrial renovations, it's not possible for companies to follow if they don't have any visibility on the demand. It's like if you take Alstom or Siemens, they won't develop a new train if they don't have cities that will buy them. So to adopt an industrial vision for the building industry, we need to change the way the offer arrives on the table.
Thank you. Also one from Nerea.
Yeah, well, as is it working?
Yeah.
Okay. As you know, our work is research, the research part. So we talk about different elements, different technical and technological solutions, but I don't think we can say like the success factors if we are not implementing them in reality. I mean, they are presenting their projects. Some of them we have included, for example, some of the energies from included. It's included as a good practice on the technical and also maybe in other modules. But I think I'm not the right person to answer this.
I'm quite sure you can answer. Nevertheless, maybe we can frame it rather as learnings, if not success factors, but learnings. But I also believe in successful research. But
yes.
What are the learnings? The main
I think that the main lesson learned is that for successful renovation, I think it's the holistic approach. So I think that this is what we have learned, not only in the technical module, I think in the three of us, and the social innovation and the project implementation, that we cannot work just in parallel. We need a cross-cutting approach. So we need to take always into account all the factors. For example, today we have mainly focused on all the technical aspects, but there are no technical aspects without a social component, without funding, without the regulatory. So I think this is the main lesson learned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Cross-cutting and holistic approach, I think this is the idea of the whole bootcamp here. And so I'd like to take the chance to ask each one of you, what have you learned from one of the other presenters, either from today or also from yesterday's presentation? Or is there anything that you say, okay, this is new, this is inspiring from the different, we had very different approaches, also from the level and from the stakeholders, but what can you take away from one of the other presenters? Yeah, maybe we'll start with Christoph this time.
Thank you.
It's always good when the politicians say that they can learn from others.
Yeah, okay. Prefabricated, it's a good way. In other presentation in our city, we have this technical tool, so it's for me good information.
I think it was quite interesting to see that we all have the same problems. We all have the same challenges. We are more or less standing on the same starting point, and the next 10 years are very, very interesting in the development, and you have a lot of exciting projects, so there will be a lot of change, I think.
May I ask you for one precise, concrete idea that you took away? Because we know that we are in exciting times and we have to learn from each other, but could you specify one point maybe?
The aspect of modular building is very important. I know that our company is also at the field trying some research and trying first projects, but I think that's one of the most important parts of modernization of housing.
Maybe from a presentation from yesterday, maybe if you were there, we had a presentation on the district innovation in Sweden, and I really found this presentation inspiring because it considers all the aspects of the renovation and not only the energy retrofit. And that's really inspiring for what we're doing on Energy Strong. Sebastian told earlier about Energy Poverty Zero project that aims to go further in a district renovation, not only with social housing, but also with private owners and also public buildings like schools. So it's really interesting to have an entire district point of view to find the best solutions for after.
Yes, of course. So for today, for example, I found that the presentation from Felix was really interesting because, as I mentioned, the holistic and integrated approach is needed. And we have to listen to the needs of the inhabitants because we have to make their lives easier. So I think that having an application where they can ask their doubts, they can communicate with the public authorities, with the administration, I think it's a really good way and also an easy way because nowadays all of us spend lots of time with the mobile phone or with the computer, so it's an easy way to ask and also to receive the question directly to our, to receive the answer directly to our question and not just maybe in an event or in a conference or whatever where they are answering in a general way. This way they receive like a personalized answer to their needs.
I would now have a few questions to one of or two of you, maybe a little bit critical questions, but I'm sure it was maybe just things you have missed out or did not mention in your presentation. So for instance, for Christoph, I'm interested in, I'm sure you have done it, but maybe you can explain a little bit about the social processes that were ongoing in your revitalization project. So for instance, did you, have you surveyed the social structure of the inhabitants, demographic and social structure of inhabitants before the revitalization and after the revitalization? Did you do some measurements against gentrification, or what was your goal or target also in terms of social development of the area?
Yeah, in revitalization area we need new inhabitants. It's most important for us. So we building new blocks and passive standard, of course, and because we want to fashion, że modę na ten obszar zrobić taki, żeby to było takie fajne.
Yeah, so they want to make the area more attractive.
Yeah. We want to this area is more attractive for people because it's a revitalization area, old town. It's a very difficult area. No?
Right, new people coming in.
Yeah.
But did you do any ideas or measures not to push out people who were already living there, or has there been a change of population from the people that were living there before?
Yeah, it's new houses. It's our idea to this problem. No.
Okay, so you had an exchange of population.
Yeah.
The people who are living there are not living there anymore, all of them, or did you have tried to bring them back into the new houses?
Yeah.
Okay. For Nicola, for Energy Strong, or for the whole industrial approach or a prefabricated approach, that maybe I can even link that to the blueprint of Nerea. You mentioned that you have different targets. You have one, the prefabrication or the industrialization, and next to it, the circularity. And in my understanding also was what I've seen so far, that there sometimes seem to be a kind of contradiction between prefabrication, which is very, very much relying on new products, on new technologies and new products, and on the other hand, you have the circularity with reuse of materials and so on. So my question is this really a contradiction, or is there also possibilities to bring those two approaches together?
I think it's something that is also explained a little bit in the blueprints, but for prefabrication, doing all the components in the factory allows to reduce waste, as you only use the quantity of material that you need to produce your components. And also, as there are less risks than on a construction site, you don't have the risk to break materials and then use more materials like in regular construction. And also, as the materials can be automatically reused in the process in the factory, it allows to recycle and reuse the, like for example, pieces of wood that are that can be considered as a waste in the process can be then put in the process again in the factory more easily than on a construction site. And then maybe the next step is including recycled materials and reused materials in prefabricated modules, but maybe we lack of for example, in France there are a lot of rules for using used materials, and it's not easy to integrate them.
We have the same discussion in Austria, that it's we go for it, we try to move forward there, but it is complicated and it's really a very brick by brick, very small steps, and that's why I wondered if there are already some bridges between those two approaches. So there is for the future, you do prefabricated materials in a way that they can be reused afterwards, but for the reuse of existing material, there is no industrialization right now, or not yet, or at the very beginning.
Yeah, it's the very beginning. And there's another project hosted by Greenflex, actually, that is called Digital Deconstruction, also a European project, that aims to scan buildings in order to identify which materials could be reused. So we're trying to do things on that topic, but it's the beginning. I don't know if you want to add something here.
Yeah, also in the blueprint, when we talk about prefabrication, we also link it with modular construction. So, as he said, that for the moment, the reused materials are not used in the prefabrication, but when we think of these modular systems, for example, just not prefabricating the facade, but just a module. So after, maybe if I think, well, to be clear, like one of the biggest, I would say, advantages of modular building systems is the flexibility. So once we have this module, and in 10 years, for example, the necessities of the inhabitants change, these modules can be reused, changing, like maybe they're flexible, so you can change if they need an extra room, or the opposite. If they need to change the use of the building, so from an office to whatever. So I think this is also a link with the circularity.
Yeah, thank you. That's very, very clear. Yeah.
And maybe it's something that could be included in specifications. For example, when doing a renovation, saying, okay, I want these modules to be reusable on another building if it needs to. So for me, there's no problem by applying reusable materials to prefab solutions. It's the same as regular solutions.
Okay, to Felix, I have one question on your voice participation tool. You explained it that you use it on the city level, on the district level. My question is, do you also have solutions on the building level? So let's say more not as a tool for the municipality, but for the housing association, for the building administration itself, to involve residents during or tenants during an ongoing renovation, or let's say densification project. Do you have solutions there too, or is it rather the district level?
No, you can use it as a small model, so you have just 2 or 3 buildings maybe as possible. When we have renovations or upscaling projects, we could use the VR glasses and walk through the building and planning, so that's that are maybe solutions that fit for such small projects.
But in official processes, like when you need, for instance, in condominiums, when you need the acceptance of the inhabitants for a certain measure, or we in Austria, at least, we also need this also tenants. We need their acceptance for certain measures. I think in Germany it's not the case. But is there also a possibility really to ask or to participate in an official way to get their opinions, yes or no, for a specific measure?
Yeah, of course, I can comment, or there are different ways of possibility to give feedback. So we are using it for development plans. So this is a formal participation process, and we can scale it down to buildings. Of course, yeah. We don't have that project at the moment. Maybe we have to adjust, but yeah, it's possible.
Okay, it's interesting. Because you come from a housing association, and it's interesting that the housing association starts at the city level and not at the building level. But it's a very interesting approach. And I think it's very good to bring those levels together.
We are the home development department, so we came from this perspective and implementing it in our company now.
Okay, I would like now to open up the discussion to all of you, to every one of you. Feel free to ask questions. This is also valid for you as a podium. You can also ask questions to each of the others, and yeah, if there is time, even on to the audience. Yes, so open questions, just raise your hand.
My name is Nita. I'm from the Danish National Building Fund. I actually work with geographical information systems, and I find it that it's actually not the many possibilities within the technology that's an issue. It's actually pushing the knowledge of existing to the citizens themselves. So how do you guys work with that, with your voice applications?
Yeah, we give the information that cities or municipalities already have back to the citizens, yeah. Maybe get trees, where the trees planted in the city, and
well, the question isn't about how you put information in the technology, but how you make sure that people know about the technology. So how are you pushing that information to the citizens of having this app that they can participate in?
Okay, yeah, we have normal marketing measures, social media, publications in newspapers, maybe a letter from the municipality to the people. Different approaches, depends on the project, but yeah, of course, you have to go out and say, hello, here we are, come.
Yes, okay, immediately, just a small question between, just raise your hands. Who of you is familiar with such interactive or digital presentation tools? Are you using that yourself? Just one? No, nobody else. And you're from Germany as well, from the same city. Okay. And you from?
I'm from Guatemala, but I live in Barcelona.
Okay, and there you also use digital participation tools. Okay. Now we continue with the questions. Sorka had a question.
Yes, I think it leads in very well. So just a reminder in a way that what we should come out with as part of this session are guidelines to help cities and to help housing providers choose the right technological solution for the energy transition in their context. And just to explain a little bit, so when we work at European level, very often we have a single technology approach. So we have very often the group representing only heat pumps, just say heat pump is the solution. Then we have the group representing PV is the solution. We have the group representing insulation is the solution. But what we are seeing from these 2 days is that really each context requires different solutions. So I would just like to ask in a way what you would like to see, what would be useful in these guidelines, and also asking people in the room, because there's a lot of choices out there when you're a city or when you're a housing company. What would be the most useful guidelines that you had? How did you get your information? And what would you advise for other cities who want to follow your path? Because I think it's a big issue at the moment, this choice of technology. Do you go for single PV or do you go for district heating? Do you go for geothermal? What's the best way to find the best solution?
I'd like to answer to your question. Hi, I'm Berta Moore from the City of Essen. I think there's not one single solution to this question, but we work with some building typologies. So in Germany we have this standard of IWU, as an institution which standardized different typologies, and typically for the 60s apartment houses, there are different approaches than for a single unit house from the 90s. So this could be something we can evaluate. And usually when it comes to heating infrastructure and energy infrastructure, we have to, or we in the city of Essen, are doing a single analysis for each part of the district we're working in, and analyzing the best approach. Because, for example, if it's very dense, we usually won't do any geothermal thing, and maybe even not heat things, because they emit a lot of sound and heat. So it is very individual.
Christoph, I think you wanted to add on that as well? No?
Maybe to add a little bit more, for example, on Energy Strong, what we try to recommend is reaching performance, and maybe the main recommendation would be to do deep energy retrofits, because if you only promote solar panels, the building won't reach performance. If you only install a heat pump, but it's still a badly insulated building, it won't work. So maybe at the European level, it would be good if there were more prescription on what deep energy retrofit is, and what it should be, how it should be done.
Hi, I'm going to stand up, I'm really small. Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Thanks for all your presentations, they're all really informative and great. My first question is to Nicola. Energy Sprong is talking a lot about kind of solutions to different problems of typology. And I think that's really interesting. It kind of has, it's a bit reminiscent of the original Bauhaus, you know, this functional, roll it out, kind of adapted to the situation on an infrastructural level. But what are you doing to kind of close the gap between the people who live in these homes? There's a lot of different typologies with a lot of different people's needs. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity in the future for kind of mass customization or some way in which you're really trying to get to grips with who's living there, what their diverse needs are, and how that can be represented within these different typological deep energy retrofit external solutions. And then my other question is to Christoph. You're talking about bringing in different groups of people into the area, which social mixing policies basically. So trying to retain the people who live there while also bringing in new members of different socioeconomic classes, I'm imagining. How are you making sure, once everyone's in this neighbourhood, that it's possible to build and foster a new community? Because historically, social mixing policies have a clear divide between the people who live there and the people who are coming in. And unless there's some kind of facilitation of mixing, be that events, be that information centres, I don't know what it could be, but how are you kind of trying to ensure that there's facilitation of mixing these different groups of people so that there isn't kind of an us and them mentality?
Sorry, maybe I ask for, is there any more question? Because I think we're running out of time, and we will collect the last questions, and then for the rest we will move into the lunch break and invite you to continue the discussion in the lunch break. So let's have 1 and 2. Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can put this together. Going back to the circularity, nowadays it's becoming more common to look at cities as material banks and material passports. And I didn't hear anything about this in the industrialization. Should we be part of that? And by that I mean, should also the BIM technology, should that BIM technology be within the process of construction? And simultaneously, not the BIM, but the measurement of the materials that are coming out of the demolition or refurbishment of housing. So you have a data set that you can later on work. And going back to the previous question of the certificates, should this be, what are the recommendations? Should it be looked at it through the EU lens or individual? How to manage that?
And the third question?
Yes, do you plan to have technical guidelines for climate resilience on this trip?
Who is it? Yeah. Who would you like to address by that? Is that Nerea? Okay.
So space for another question? If yes, my question is, I believe so. In order to, my question is regarding fabricated models. I believe in order to sink the prices to produce these models, I believe that it requires a level of standardization and unification of these models. But on the other hand, if you standardize it and you have like one type or two types of such models, that you need some more material to use that will make price a little bit more. On the other hand, you will have less flexibility. And you guys, by your work, did you find any balance of flexibility and having a lot of system models and unification? And when it is such side or research, what are the main price drivers for it?
I would like maybe to ask Christoph to start with by the the social process, because it was the first question, and
Okay.
then you go the social process.
Quick.
And to all the speakers, I would like to ask you to conclude with your final takeaway or something. Yeah, just say the final outlook in your answer, that you put your, let's say, the famous last words. Because we won't have time for a final round, so that you include that immediately in your answer.
Yeah. We built new and good standards flats in the revitalization area. It's the main idea. Second, of course, it's industry, cultural and social industrial in revitalization area, because we need mix this inhabitants in this district.
Yeah, maybe I can answer to Saskia's first question and the last question maybe at the same time. We often think that prefabrication and industrialization means unification, but as Sebastian said, the solution should be 80% the same every time and 20% personalization. So in the project, Energy Strong project that we had in France, we tried to involve the tenants in the renovation. For example, in the north of France, where the first project took place, people are very attached to the brick-looking buildings. So we try to work with the solution providers to personalize the solution so that the facade would include brick, for example. We're also working every time on every project with architects. For example, when you put a prefab facade on the building, existing building, it will make the walls thicker, so you will have new space, for example, under the windows. So we're involving the inhabitants in identifying what that space should be after the renovation, for example. And maybe Fabien, who led the projects for Villogia in France, will be able after the session to answer more in details on how the inhabitants were involved.
Yes, on the technical guidelines.
Yes, so your question was about climate resilience, right? So no, the answer is negative this time. Unfortunately, this blueprint is being done during the European project, so we have limited resources, limited time to submit these documents, and even though it's a relevant topic and something that we should take into account, for the moment we haven't included any guidelines about this, but at the same time, as you mentioned, we cannot include all the technical solutions for each of the topics. We would like to keep the document short and readable, so unfortunately we cannot include all these aspects that, even though they are very interesting, they are like hot topics, unfortunately. And just as to conclude from my side, I would like to take into, I'm also in charge of the communication of the project, so I take this opportunity to invite you all to keep tuned. So follow us in LinkedIn, also take a look at the website. We have a newsletter to which you can subscribe, so you will be able to follow all the news of the project, and you will also receive the notification once this blueprint is published. Thank you.
Felix, would you like to add something or give your final conclusion?
I think the final conclusion could be that you have to be open to technological approaches, and there's not one approach, there are different approaches you have to combine in different ways. Always look at the project and not, don't scale it too upwards. Every project has its own problems, and you have to find different solutions, and technological approaches can be one of the solutions.
Thank you very much. Thank you also for the keeping the time and for your very interesting presentations. And I think we will and we have to stay tuned and to keep up with all the different approaches. I hand now over the mic to João. He's hitting himself for a final wrap-up of this affordable housing bootcamp. But as I said before, it's not really the end because, in the afternoon, again, one more invitation to the side event of shaping housing markets. João, what did you take away?
Thanks a lot. Actually, I wanted to say thanks a lot for the speakers, by the way. And I was really impressed by Christoph. I think you're a leader in Poland. You're leading the way in social housing, creating a social housing system in Poland. And I think I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate your effort in communicating in English. I know it's not so easy, but it really took a lot from your experience. And I hope other mayors and other leaders, political leaders in Poland follow your example, not only from the technical point of view, but also from the political courage that needs to have in this area. So thanks a lot. That was a very important takeaway for me. Also, thanks a lot for Galinda for moderating this session. And this is the wrap-up, actually, of the bootcamp. So it ends here. So I really appreciate all your participation on the bootcamp. I hope you found it useful for you, and I also hope there will be more editions in the future with more speakers, with more innovative leaders, with more solutions, technical, social, or even procedural solutions. Just to remind you, okay, we have a lunch break now. It's on the other room. And after that, at 1:30 in the same room, it starts the conference on shaping housing markets, organized here by GBV. And so at 1:30, it's the same room. And also, still in shape, for the ones who have registered for the study visit, it starts tomorrow at 9:30. So if you don't have the address, get in contact with me, and I can tell you I have here the noted. Okay, so thanks a lot. I see you around at the lunch break, and have a good conference in the afternoon as well. Thanks a lot.